thankfully. Back to recording. Although this one almost wasn't made by me because of work kicking my ass recently. But let's just jump right on into it. So we have the Vvardenfell event and the Tribunal event. So what is this? So basically this is an event done by ESO to get you to go to specific zones. They generally highlight different zones and then add some new modes and things to them and then double the nodes and everything in them. So we have the Clockwork City and Morrowind, and they're calling this the Tribunal event. For those of you who don't know, that's where Asylum and Vivek are from. For those of you who want to know more about the lore, they're basically the living tribunal of the gods worshipped by the Dunmer, yada yada. Unfortunately, I'm not Fudge Muppet. I can't give you some great lore background, but I can tell you the details of this event. And let's just look straight at what's going to be dropping from this event with event tickets. So starting from the top, we have this beautiful, and I'll just equip it all here so you can see it all at once. I don't want to confuse you for my own outfit. So this is the new outfit. It will be dropping. We'll talk about drops here in a little bit. And then it's going to go back to these fragments to get that little pet thing. Feel free to buy these bad boys. Group repair kit's pretty useless. Memento, if you're really interested in those. A cute little non-combat pet, which you can actually get from drop, so don't feel like you have to buy this. And a skin. I know people love skins, so I've actually not seen this skin except anything except the default. I think it just looks kind of like a black, kind of oily little skin. All right, so let's talk about exactly what's going to be dropping and where it's going to be dropping from. So the Tribunal event, which will run from February 25th, 10 a.m. through Tuesday, March 9th at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, is going to be dropping double rewards from boxes and zone daily quests and weekly trial quests. So what does that mean? That means basically that every time you do it, you have double the rewards. Is that really worth anything? If you should be doing those, what zone should you be focusing your dailies in? This is a great question. If you had to compare the two zones of Vvardenfell to Clockwork City, the sets in the Clockwork City are way better, in my opinion personally, from a selling standpoint than Vvardenfell. So while you should do both of them, because that's how you get your event tickets, which we'll talk about, I would strongly suggest you to focus your efforts in the Clockwork City based on specifically the Mad Tinkerer set. I think it's going to be a lot better for you. Okay. So increased rewards from harvest nodes. So basically double your chance of kudas, double your yields. So, is that good? Some people sometimes will just run around during the event with like Ring of the Wild Hunt and sprint through and pick up stuff. It's certainly viable. Not something necessarily I would think is the best way to do it. So world bosses, delve bosses, and trial bosses will drop additional loot when defeated. So what does that mean? That means basically I killed a couple delve bosses earlier, and basically they just drop more loot. Same with world bosses, more loot droppage. Public dungeons and world bosses have a chance to drop a tradable new style page for this set. So that's this. If you buy it with event tickets, it's bound to you. However, if you were to do world bossage, which should be fairly easy, because I guarantee you they're going to be over farmed to extinction, then you'll easily be able to get those tradable crafting, or tradable mode, excuse me. I don't know about public dungeons just because they're very low health and there's going to be filled with people. I think it'd be better to focus your efforts specifically on world bosses. I think that's going to be the best way to do it. Also, the trials for both zones, which is the Asylum, Sanctorum, and Halls of Fabrication, have a guaranteed chance to drop one of these pages on the final boss. So that's something that can be good for you to do too. So now we're going to talk about what's going to be in these coffers. So when you complete a daily quest in either one of the two zones, you'll receive a Tribunal coffer. Within these concentrated containers, you'll receive a chance to receive some of these items. These items are crafting materials. That's just your generic, like, oh, here's 5 Nightshade. Overland sets from the two zones. That's going to be what's a little bit better. There's a couple different sets that you should focus on, specifically the Mad Tinkerers one, and there's also Red Mountain one from Vvardenfell. It's pretty decent too. Style pages for the Ashlander, Murag Tong, Telek Vraden, Hylian, Ebon Shadow, and Clockwork Apostle style. All of those are also fairly decent to sell too. Transmute Crystals, which I always think are very good for players to go for because Transmute Crystals are a godsend. When you're getting into end game content, they can be very beneficial for you to use. Save them. And Vvardenfell or Clockwork City treasure maps, generic. Your skin that we were talking about earlier, memento that we were talking about earlier, and the pet also have a chance to drop from these two. Even better, the first time when you complete a daily quest, if you can't tell I'm reading from a script, you complete a daily quest, you'll receive a Glorious Tribunal coffer. Glorious Tribunal coffers contain the same items as their regular counterpart, but have a greater chance to drop rare items such as the skin, memento, or pet fragments. Basically, the first one you do each day, better rewards. That's all it means. Now, event tickets. One event ticket from the first Vvardenfell daily quest of any kind, and one event ticket from the first Clockwork City. So, the daily quests for the Clockwork City, which is what I recommend, are actually right at the Way Shrine and the Brass Fortress. So, just go right there. And then in Vvardenfell, they are in the main city, over yonder. Easy. Basically, same thing. Remember not to go over 12. You get one per each. Always do those bad boys. It sounds like whichever one you do first is what you get your grand little pot from, your grand reward pot. So I would say always do the Clockwork City one first. That way that one's the boosted pot that you're opening and not the Vvardenfell one, but you should still do the Vvardenfell one then afterwards. All right. And then they're adding in the little skin that we looked at earlier here too. And so that's the heads and tails of it. We won't keep this video too long. So also, unlike the Mid-Year Mayhem event, the DLCs are not free, but they are severely reduced. And this is what I like to remind players, especially solo ones, that you can trade gold for crowns. So you can have someone, so 1k crowns is only about 100k gold on Xbox, and it's about 200k gold on PC. I'm not sure about PS4, but I imagine it's somewhere in between those two numbers. That's fairly cheap, and you have it forever. Most of you probably have Morrowind because, you know, most people have like the chapter upgrades, but they don't have the Clockwork City. So I highly suggest one or the other, although 1750 crowns is also fairly cheap, and the Warden class is only fairly cheap too, although I believe this actually comes with Morrowind. Maybe actually it doesn't. I'm sorry, you probably have to get... I should realize that it didn't come with it. Always make sure though, because sometimes for a while the Warden class was dropping with Morrowind, but it's not saying that it's in here anymore. So they probably broke those up. Alright, that's the end of the video. Wrapped it up. If you have questions, comments, concerns, just let me know. This is a very straightforward event. If you guys want different content in the future, just let me know. But other than that, I will see you guys later. I love y'all. Peace.